All right, team, before we get too deep into starting to make some of the things that we're gonna need for songs, I wanna talk about collaborating and working together, because that's gonna be really important for this challenge. We're gonna do two activities. The first one is just using our voices and our bodies, if you want, and move around a little bit. It's a game called Yes and. It comes from improv theater, and it's pretty darn fun. And what happens is we go in a circle and we tell a story. And you can do this in small groups. You can do it as a big group if you want. That's a little bit trickier because it takes a while. But if you do it in small groups, like your table groups or your small groups that you create for this project, it works pretty darn well. So what happens is one person just starts with something totally random. And so, for instance, I'll say, boy, it sure is hot here in the jungle. Sometimes it's good to start in like a setting someplace. Oh, it's hot here in the jungle. And then the next person would say, yes, and would add to that story. So, for instance, yes, and all the bugs are awful. Ah! And then the next person would say, yes, and I'm certainly glad we have these net suits we can put on. And everyone puts on their net suits. And then the next person says, yes, and are they also protection against the panthers? And then the next person says, yes, and I think they are because they have rocket boosters on them. And then the next person says, yes, and now we're blasting through the jungle canopy. And we're up in space. And the next person says, yes, and the space is made of cheese. Or whatever. Cool? That's yes and. But it's really important that you say yes to whatever the person said in front of you, and then you build on top of that. If you say no, then it just stops the whole thing. We're not even going to talk. I don't even want to talk about no. I'm sorry I even brought that up. So we're just saying yes and to everything. Now, if you want to take the story somewhere and it's not really in that position, there's ways to do that. For instance, if I said, I've got this really cool spoon, and you wanted to be on rocket ship, instead of saying, yes, and I'm on a rocket ship, which doesn't connect to the spoon at all, right? We want to build on each other. Instead of saying, yes, and I'm on a rocket ship, you could say, yes, and we're eating cereal on my rocket ship. Do you see how I connected those two? Here, I'll try another one. Geez, this bowl of Jell-O is massive. But I want to be at a swimming pool. So I might say, yes, and I hope I don't drop it in the pool. La, 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 la. Right? Okay, so I want you to listen to each other. This is a real listening exercise. You got to listen to what the person said in front of you, and then add to that and keep going. It's a practice of collaborating, of working together to tell a story. And you go around and around until you're done. You'd be like, oh, that was a short one, or geez, that was a long one. It's totally up to you. But spend a couple minutes telling a brand new story and always saying yes and. All right, give it a go.